Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Yep, today we're painting Lord Vigilant from the Scaventide box of the new AOS 4th edition, I believe. These are the Stormcast Eternals. This is Lord Vigilant on his Griff, and we're going to be using a variety of speed paints mostly, starting off with a little bit of blinding light and some Princess Pink to do the skin of the Griff. And we actually started off with a primer, with a matte gray primer, and then did a dry brush of matte white over it, which is my favorite recipe for using speed paints, because it's not a crazy contrast between light and dark. It's got a light gray, a darker color underneath, and then the white brings out the details, and it works great with the speed paints. Now I decided to go with this like pinkish grayish skin. As you can see, it comes out kind of purpley, but as it dries it looks really good. And for the tail feathers or whatever the end there, I added a little bit more Princess Pink to it just to make it a little bit more vibrant there. And then we move on to some Gravelord Gray for all the Griff's feathers, moving all around here, getting it all done. And as you can see again, having this recipe of the light gray and then the white for speed paints, it just makes the painting job just so much easier. Like you know, if you're using speed paints, which a lot of people are out there who are starting to get into the model or into the hobby of painting miniatures, will want to use like speed paints, which include contrast or dipping inks or what else there is, express colors and so on and so forth. But I use speed paints mainly. I do have the dipping inks, but I'm not super keen on them so far. I might have to try them again. I don't know. I have mixed thoughts on those ones, but these speed paints have not let me down yet. They work great, especially with this recipe of slap chop, I guess you could call it. Sort of. You slap on some gray primer and you chop on some white, but no, it's dry brushing, okay? I mean, it's not your typical slap chop. It's just a one step less, which is having the black primer first, then heavy brushing gray, and then white. But I like more the gray and white. It just works really well for me. I don't know if it does for you. We're using Ashen Stone on the inside part of his cape here. Now this is the hard part. A lot of times you see these models, you're like, wow, I could paint this, but then you're like trying to get into the nooks and crannies everywhere. It is so hard. And then I come in with a dry brushing of Brigade Gray on the feathers again, just to make them pop again a little bit more on the Griff here. However, the dry brush I'm using, I'm not sure I like it very much. This is the Army Painter one, the one they used to have, and it's like a flat with a little bit of an angle on it. And I find that the paint, as you're drying it out, just goes up inside the brush, and then if you hit by accident a little too hard, it just mushes it on like as if you're painting, but like a heavy dry brush. So be careful when you're using that. I try to use it very sparingly, but sometimes you have no choice. But I have other dry brush. I have the Masterclass dry brush set, and anyways, so and I want to try up some dry brushing techniques I found out recently too, so I'm going to be using some different ones on that. Anyways, that's a different video. If you guys are liking these Warhammer ones, please hit that like button, share it with your friends, subscribe if you're new to the channel. If you're here looking for some easy, and I'm talking about easy ways of painting Stormcast Eternals, Soulblight Gravelords, Caradon Overlords, Sylvanet, and some other fine Spearhead armies, you found the perfect channel. So hit that subscribe button. Welcome. You can also become a member if you want to see some member exclusive videos. Right now there's a Song of Ice and Fire painting videos going up for members only. Those are fun to watch. I'm using all sorts of different techniques with them. And there'll be other future videos as well for other board games, and also maybe some Warhammer, and also some live streams for you guys. Any kind of things I do for my members, I'd love to hear from you. Anyways, or you can also become a patron over on my Patreon page. You can take a look. All those links are in my description. You can also send me a one-time gift or a nice little tip to thank me for all the crazy stuff I do on this channel. And please help this channel grow as much as possible. I would love to see it just escalate more. Hoping Warhammer brings more people to this community, because I want to see this channel just get so much more popular and become so much more for everyone. I know I'm ranting on about that, but it's not easy when you're trying to get the YouTube algorithm to get you posted, and then as soon as you miss like a week or so on posting videos, it's like, well, this guy is no longer there, let's just put him in the trash heap for now. And videos just go down, subscribers go down. If you guys are YouTubers, you know what it's like. Anyways, we're using a little bit of Grim Black now. We're putting this on the clothing of Lord Vigilant, and we're putting this on the nails and the beak of the Griff. But we're gonna also, because the clothing was a bit, you know, just darker, it's not armor and such. The armor, we're gonna be doing that separately as well. Have you guys tried the new Spearhead version of Age of Sigmar? If you haven't, it is so much fun. It is a great introduction to Age of Sigmar and Warhammer in general. It cuts down some of the rules. It's very skirmish, in your face battling. You're gonna lose a lot of miniatures in there because like you're just dying, like you're just fighting for all those objectives, trying to score points. Plus you have your own battle tactics deck. Then you have battlefield deck tactics that come up, and are skirmish tactics. So anyway, something that changes the whole battlefield here and so on. We're using a strong tone. Now I forgot that the strong tone is more on the blacker side than on the browner side, which is kind of weird. It's like a less strong tone, and or dark tone I should say. Like strong tone is close to dark tone, but just less strong. And I was hoping for it to be more yellowish or brownish, but I forgot that it was like that. Anyways, now we're moving on to some beautiful I believe it's Magic Blue, or is it High Lord Blue? Magic Blue? I can't remember. It popped up. You saw it. You know what color it is. Such a beautiful blue speed paint. And the only thing is, again, this will coffee stain whenever it's on stuff that's a little bit more flat, like the cape here, the cloak. What I suggest is you load your brush up and you let it pretty much just like flow down, and try to keep it on the same, you know, keep your brush strokes going the same way constantly. Otherwise you're going to get those things. But I do notice that it creates a few coffee stains. But I fixed that with the Warpaints Fanatic highlight that I do later on. And what's great about using this nice little recipe of gray and white of slap chop is that you'll see where the raised edges were and where the dry brush hit to make it more bright. And you can use that when you're highlighting with your Warpaints Fanatic or any other paint you're using. Here was a very tricky part, is to get in the shield here without touching the white, without touching the silver, is to get that blue inside those little nooks and crannies. So I took a smaller brush, put enough on my brush, and then just went in nice and gently to get all those nice little areas. Again, the speed paints flow very nicely, and it does a great contrast between light and dark, especially like on this part of his big giant. I guess this is an axe, I guess. Goddess Glow, you know I love Goddess Glow for handles. I've been using that more and more lately. Crusader skin now for his head. Now, I didn't put the one where he has a helmet on. You have a choice. I decided to go with just the bald head. It was kind of fun. Holy white now for the medallion on his cloak. Some leather brown coming in now with the Warpaints Fanatic line here. Getting all the belts and straps and so on and so forth. And I didn't like too much what it was doing on the Griff's neck, so I went and covered that up with the leather. I'd used it, I think it was the dark wood a while ago or something like that on and by the way, I forgot to record that part, but I think it was dark wood for the saddle on top of the Griff, and I used it also for the strap here around his neck, and I don't know why that didn't record. I have no idea. Now I'm using the cool plasma coil glow again, like I did with Lord Vigilant, but I'm doing this on the flame on his big axe here, keeping that same, you know, look throughout my army. The other guy was supposed to have red. I said no, I'm not doing that. And now I'm using some red copper instead of gold, but I'm going to highlight it with gold after with a dry brushing. So it's going to have a bit of a gold shine to it, but keeping the red copper in underneath. And I find it just makes him a little bit different as the hero and the leader of the Spearhead army. Now, also when you're choosing your Spearhead, when you're looking at the abilities, the enhancements, and your general ability as well, you want to make sure that you pick the right ones, because as you play a game, you're like, oof, you know what, for this game I should have picked this ability, for this one I should have picked that enhancement. Just make sure you choose the right thing every time you're playing a game, because it makes a difference. Because when I played my Soulblight Gravelords and didn't take the Endless Legions, and I should have brought that in, because then I could have brought back skeletons more often. And there's another ability. Anyways, a lot of stuff. And I also forgot. Also remember your passive abilities. I had healing for vampires and I completely forgot. Anyways, it would have maybe made a whole big difference. So, as I was mentioning before, when you have speed paints with a nice little slap chop underneath, you can see the highlighted area so that you can come back in and even highlight them even more with a nice light blue. And I also fixed up some of those coffee stains at the same time. You know, just covering up some of the areas that were not supposed to be so dark. And again, the speed paints did not reactivate. This is one of the 2.0 ones. I also let it dry quite a bit before doing so, just in case. You can always put a matte varnish over it in case if you think that's going to be a problem. But I haven't had that issue, and sometimes it's even better. It just blends right into the paint that you have underneath. And now the final touches is that bright gold highlight on top of the red copper, just to give it a little bit more glint of shininess to it, and just working on it very gently. Anyways, there you have it, folks. Lord Vigilant on his griff, all painted, ready for the table. Look at that beautiful transition right here. Boom. He looks amazing. I fixed the base and all that. I had some fun with the basing here. I know I should show you guys a tutorial. Anyways, I want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.